penalty for not standing up to the bully. Bullying in any form by students or staff is completely unacceptable. Bullying means any written, spoken, or physical act performed by one or more individuals that is intended to cause emotional or physical pain and also physically damages a student, damages a student's property, socially isolates a student, or interferes with the student's education, is severe, persistent, or so pervasive that it creates an intimidating or threatening educational environment, or disrupts the orderly operation of the school. Bullying can take many forms, including but not limited to slurs, rumors, jokes, innuendos, demeaning and or sarcastic comments, deliberate social snubs, drawings, pranks, physical gestures, inappropriate touching, physical attacks, threats, or other written, verbal, or physical actions. Some forms of bullying can take place without physical proximity, such as messages sent through texting, instant messaging systems, email, posts on social networking sites, i.e. Facebook, MySpace, and others, or handwritten notes. These actions can take place within the school building, on school grounds, on school buses, or at school activities, sporting events, or other school-sanctioned events. Bullying actions that take place away from school property, in the community, or over the internet, not using school technology, are not within the purview of the North Reading Public Schools and cannot be covered by this policy. Such actions can be reported to local law enforcement authorities. Nothing in this policy requires the affected student or staff member to possess a characteristic that is a perceived basis for the bullying or harassment or belong to any legally protected group. If the affected student or staff member does belong to a protected group, the perpetrators may be subject to prosecution under hate crime laws as well as school disciplinary action. If any student or parent or guardian of a student suspects that a student has been subjected to bullying, he or she should inform the principal or a staff member of the school the child attends. This may be done verbally or in writing. Any staff member who receives such a report of bullying or who witnesses an act of bullying shall notify school administrators as soon as possible, but no later than the following school day. Every report will be investigated by school administration promptly and reasonably. Anonymous reports may be submitted and will be investigated. However, actions taken to address the situation may be limited by the anonymity of the complaint. Students who engage repeatedly in bullying behavior may be recommended for counseling or therapeutic interventions. They may receive school disciplinary action, including suspension or expulsion, and they may be referred to the North Reading Police Department. Staff members who engage in bullying behavior may be subject to disciplinary action up to and including termination. Should I read the legal references as well? Or?
I don't think it's part of the policy. So. Do you want to read it?
Yeah, it would be.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry.
Legal references, Title VII, Section 703, Civil Rights Act of 1964 as amended. Federal Regulation 74676, issued by the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission. Title IX of the Education Amendments of 1972. Board of Education 603, CMR 26:00.
Great, thanks. Comments?
Nicole and I met with Dr. Grossman as a subcommittee on this a number of times. I continue to be just a little bit unhappy with the policy as it's written. Basically, this is Nicole's policy, and essentially my comments and inputs just didn't get represented in the document. But this is a policy that was decided to bring forward at this time.
I'd just be interested in Cliff's comments on
Right. Well, there are a number of things. Some of the things in the end, I tried to work within the draft that was presented, and even the simple things that I tried to put in, almost editorial type things, didn't get into the policy. I left out things like we recognize that, and just started that sentence with all students have a right to feel safe in their school, not their own school. Even comments like that didn't get included, and that frankly offended me. I had an alternative policy that had a lot less detail about what bullying means and the definition. And my feeling is that when you put as much definition as there is in this policy, in the policy, then you are creating an atmosphere which is going to manufacture, kind of bludgeon the word a little bit, but manufacture circumstances, a situation where a coach can't say anything that coaches might ordinarily say without getting into the position of being referred to as a bully, but that's part of the coaching situation. Friends can't even comment to another friend without the potential of creating a bullying circumstance. And I think that when you include so much detail in the policy, you tend to again manufacture circumstances that really shouldn't be circumstances.
Just looking at that, just looking at that in context, Cliff, would you have been more comfortable if paragraph 3 was eliminated and paragraph 2 more or less gave the broad definition of bullying?
Well, again, Jerry, I had I tried to work within this one, and I had some various comments on it without wordsmithing it here in open session with everybody. There were things I could do to this that would fix it some, but everything that I tried to do to fix it some were basically not included.
I understand where you're going with it, and I'm just looking at paragraph 2, which really seems to define. I mean, I would think that any of the acts in paragraph 3 that resulted in paragraph 2, in other words, intended to cause emotional, physical pain and physically damage the student, kind of defines what the bullying is, whereas these are examples in paragraph 3 of what could constitute bullying. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Mr. Chairman?
Yes.
I said I just want to apologize if you felt offended by the lack of inclusion of, I will say, many of your amendments to the first draft of policy. I know we did incorporate at least some of the copy editing sort of changes to it. I feel that many of the things that were included that you felt were not necessary, I felt, and I believe Dr. Turton felt, were necessary for either legal reasons or to establish a tone of the determination of the school district not to tolerate bullying behavior without using the phrase zero tolerance, which I think is overused.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for.
Impossible
I'm glad not to see it.
Impossible to have any flex in that. So that's my perception of why so much of this was left in here that you suggested be taken out.
Maureen?
Well, this is the first time that we've had a policy come out of committee that wasn't supported by the 2 members.
Right.
So, no, I'm not comfortable at all. I have a list of things that I had, that I would have, given as changes to incorporate into the next round of the draft, but if there's a basic difference in what should be included and what should not be included, and it's not just a matter of how it's said, then I think we still need a meeting of the minds before we sit here, 5 of us try to draft something. And that's the intention of the subcommittee, to avoid 5 of us. It's to come out with at least something two people are in support of. Some of the things that I did along the lines of what Jerry and Cliff were just mentioning, in paragraph 2, I don't like to see us get specific, like damages a student property. There are times when student properties are damaged and it's not necessarily a bullying incident. So I would think that you'd want to stay away from specific references.
Well, I mean, it does say an act performed by one or more individuals that damages the student's property. It's not.
Right. But there were times when kids' cars are damaged, and it's not an act of bullying.
No, but it does define here, any acts intended to cause emotional, physical pain, or to do this. So I mean, I hear what
Right.
you're saying, but I think, I
And
don't
so are we limiting bullying only to intentional acts? That was another question I had.
Well, it's intentional acts intended to cause emotional, physical pain. I mean, it's not an accidental thing, it's an intentional thing that's being
Okay.
done, so.
And can we really point towards social isolation of a student or deliberate social snubs and hold kids accountable for that behavior to a point where there would be discipline involved? I
Yeah, I
mean, I
guess-
don't like it.
There's a difference between not wanting to be friends with somebody and deliberately excluding someone that should be included in some, school mandated activity. If the teacher breaks kids out into groups and, nobody talks to this one kid or allows that kid to say anything, I understand that it seems
Because
broad.
by putting that in there, and then saying throughout the letter that, the policy, that a student or a staff member that would see that happening is mandated to report it,
That's true.
it's just,
That's true.
yeah, like
It is,
somebody.
you have to do that.
Right.
That's
But
required.
what do you have to report? That I'm confused also. So if 3 kids decide that they don't want to be friends with someone, that has to be, see, this is where I'm confused, like, as Mrs. Baca said, if 3 kids decide they don't want to hang around with a 4th kid, is that a reportable?
Well,
See, I have a problem with this first sentence in the 3rd paragraph with the specifics.
Well, I think
guess.
that, I think the 3rd paragraph is the problem, I mean, at least the first half of the 3rd
Yes.
paragraph. In the 2nd paragraph, when you read it, you have to read it in context. 3 people who don't wanna hang around with another person, that's not an intentionally causing emotional or physical pain to a student. I mean, that's just, not wanting to hang around. I think when you intend to cause some emotional or physical pain, and then you go about doing one of those other things, damage a student, damage a property, or socially isolate a student with that purpose or with that
Right.
intent, then reading it in context makes more sense to me. What I am concerned about is, as Cliff suggested, the first half of paragraph 3 may be something that we don't have to put in detail, and then use paragraph 1 and determine whether each factual situation would satisfy the definition of paragraph 2, actually.
I guess I would ask, do we have any policy now specifically related to bullying?
No, and that's
No.
why we're doing
We
this.
have nothing, and not even a
You-
general,
And we need one.
You need
right,
one.
I agree.
And in a way, a policy on bullying is a subset of a broader policy on harassment.
Mhm.
Right.
But given the state of things, I know Nicole did a tremendous amount of research on this and drew from some pretty respected publications, both from the Commonwealth, a guide to bully prevention, to looking at the MASC, although MASC, while at first pass may appear to be more succinct, but when you look at it, it is clear. You have to give a definition of what you're talking about. You need to give some sense of scope. You need to state right up front what you believe, and you believe bullying is not acceptable.
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
and I think also that as this policy begins by saying, not so much in what